Okay. Hello. Welcome to the podcast. My name is Andrew. Last name I'm not going to say because you won't be able to say it anyway. I'm 22. I'm 5'4". I'm probably over 170 something pounds. And the world is over. It has been for about a year now. And because of that I can remember that it has been a year is significant since I have, for the past couple weeks, have been going through a period of depression, which I have done nothing about except for drinking, jerking off, and not working out, which is why I'm a little huskier than usual. um, what I'm drinking every day is usually a 1 to 1 ratio of Kahlua, 1 ounce, Malibu, 1 ounce. It's 1 to 1. I only have to explain that. Salt, an ounce. Ciroc Summer Watermelon Vodka, ounce of that. We just complete it. A couple dashes of Angostura orange bitters, and I top that off with milk and a cup of ice. You know, um, I suspect that this has been a primary culprit in my rude awakenings of morning diarrhea, probably in combination with shitty sleep habits. I work grave shifts, so I go to bed usually. I'll say should be at 6:30, but since I've been up on my phone, realistically 7:30. Waking up around maybe 1, probably maybe earlier. I can't say that I've gotten more than 4 or 5 hours of sleep today, and by today I mean yesterday, since it is 1:35 in the morning where I'm at this time. So technically, in the next day, I did go for a run earlier. Uh, Usually run a mile, and today I got a pretty fast time for what I usually do. Something like 11:16. That's not spectacular, but that's I think that's all right for a fat boy, an asthmatic fat boy, alcoholic, you know, who hasn't run in a while. I think I think what made me run faster today was I was literally trying to run away from my feelings. From feelings is sort of an understatement. So I'll tell you that what happens sometimes is maybe I'll be doing something. I don't know what I'll be doing. Let's say, okay, well, just as an example, today before I went for that run, I was taking a quiz on because I'm doing this finance class, and I was taking a quiz. I think this occurred during the quiz or something. I just had thoughts and memories of they're actually good memories, but I knew the whole story of those memories and saw that it does come to an end, right? The whole story, and it's how finite it is and how sad and depressed that makes me feel, and I cringe. I physically tense up something so that I can release that energy somehow through tensing up some muscle somewhere. And it's not like that I don't know how it was, gradual relaxation technique something. No, it's not methodical. It's just a quick reaction of that. uh, I'll be in the car, sing along to a song, and I'll scream a lyric, a line, a word when just a thought comes into my head that makes me sad, or when I see something that reminds me of something that makes me sad. And so today I was running, and going into the run, I was angry. uh, I'll say angry as opposed to depressed. I'll say that previously in my life, these feelings of depression would come from these kinds of thoughts, and I would usually just feel weak and defeated, and then I would drink, which I do now. I still do now, but these days, I'd say after probably after going through a period, a dark period in my life of a mixture of just life trauma, then mania and psychosis, and coming to this point now, I more than that sadness, I feel rage, and so these feelings of rage and this anger comes to me, and I have to release that energy, right? So then I decided, you know what? I haven't been on a run for a while. I got to go for a run, and I did. I ran real fast. Sorry if my speech is slurred at all. I just drank another cup of my. I don't even know what I'm gonna call it, but I got a pretty fast time, and yeah, I was pretty gassed after. Surprisingly, not for too long though, as I would expect from not running for a long time. But yeah, there was that. I had a good run. Usually on the days that I do run, which are days that I consider me working out or exercising or something, I go for a mile, come home, do 50 push-ups, not straight usually. When I was working out regularly, I could do 50 push-ups straight, but you know, it's harder when my muscles atrophy or whatever. I'm not used to the movements. So I usually struggle on the last 20, more like the last 10 usually, but yeah, then I take a shower and go on with my day. Um, yeah, I went for a run. That's something that stands out. I think the significance of that is that, do I go for a run tomorrow? Should I go for a run tomorrow? And the answer is, I think I should, but will I? I don't know. You know, when it comes to this depression, this rut, these ruts that I find myself in, I don't want to help myself. I don't try at all to help myself. The things that I do that might be considered self help are so subtle and insignificant, I don't think they count at all. Maybe trying to limit the amount of negative media content that I consume, you know, even though I have, and I know that many other people have an obsession with it. You know, they thrive off of some tragedy sometimes, and seeing that. Um, oof, sorry, adjusting this microphone because I think I'm going around the pop filter or something. I have this pop filter above it to see if I could see that. I have the on the EQ. I have the highs turned down, so the sibilance shouldn't come through so rough. But let me test that out. Sibilance. All right, let me come on down. Sibilance. See the difference? Sibilance. Susudio. Susudio. Anyway. Uh, but yeah, I do not try to help myself at all. And um, I like to mention something about people who might hear this, you know, who might hear that, and I'm gonna guess some of their thoughts because I've ran into this with a lot of people. I'm not gonna be a smart ass, you know. I'm gonna say that this is based on experience of just talking with people about shit like this. It's like you share something like this. Maybe you just want to be heard, you know, or maybe you're just sharing this because it's just something in your life right now that's on your mind, you know. So you're sharing it to share it. People will they won't cut in, but they'll respond very quickly with advice, suggestions. I remember saying this before that, when you have like depression or something like that, or when you've been suicidal or something, all of a sudden, people around you who have, no offense, have been through not that. They haven't been through that kind of shit. But all of a sudden, they become experts. You know? Let me tell you something. Let me tell you another truth of life is that, you know, never say, look on the bright side or any kind of variation on that idea. All right? Because that is so ignorant. I think we saw in the movie, the Joker, all I have are negative thoughts. To say to someone like that, look on the bright side is an insult. Like, in some cases, it could be like, well, don't you think I've tried? In a lot of other cases, it could be like, no, I can't see anything. But in a lot of cases, I'd say most of the cases, it'd be like, this is something, an obsession. What I am going through, these thoughts that I have, these feelings, I have an obsession with. I am I have like almost like an OCD with I can't look away. I can't look away and for some reason I don't want to, you know? And I'll say for mine and my own experience, these are tied to times. I said the good memories, right? But then they're followed by the knowledge that they ended, right? These are tied to like these memories, this depression, these thoughts that provoke, I guess, the depression is tied to a time in my life that I loved, that I felt like a god. I felt like a god, you know? I felt I had everything. I had a lot of things, so many things around me that I loved, that I loved or was in love with, right? And it ended, you know? And so I suppose that a part of my obsession is that why can't it be like that again? I wish I could go back. Those were such good times. Those were my glory years, you know? So to tell me something like, look at the positive, that was the positive. I know it becomes the negative and that's what brings me down, but that was the positive in my life. That's what I loved. That's when I was the embodiment of love, a manic love for life and potential and opportunity, endless, endless potential of anything that I wanted, you know, anything. Anyway, what was I talking about? I'm gonna take a look at the time here. I can't really see the time. I'm recording this onto this really cool recorder I have, this digital recorder. It's this Tascam DR40. Oh, we're only at 13 minutes. Let's go for another 30 odd something minutes. But yeah, what do you think? What else? Um, hmm. Let me think about this podcast. I have plans for this podcast. This is fairly green, of course. So, um, I do need to put out more and establish, hopefully, an audience. If not, I honestly will be hurt. My ego, my self esteem will be hurt. Um, because I crave attention. I love attention. Going back to that time in my life, I had like a bunch of attention. And some attention I didn't want, some attention I wasn't a huge fan of, but I I uh I like attention. I think everybody does. And here's something else about me. I know people will be like cliche, they'll be like, "Oh, I tell it as it is," like they're real as fuck. But I consider myself to what, yeah, and I am one of those people. That's what I'm getting to. I'm not going to separate myself from that. No, I am one of those people. I say that I do tell it like it is because I will state facts that only I know. I know, like the facts that I know for sure, you know? So these will be facts around me. And the way that I think that this is real is when I state those facts, people will be like, oh, well, that's me too. Because I am absolutely sure, at least most of what I feel and what I experience, many other people have been through. And they won't say, you know? I'll say this. I was talking to my friend earlier today. I'm going to keep saying, like, I'll say, because I don't know why. That's just who I am now. That's what I've become. That's the monster that I've become. I find myself saying, like, hammy phrases, you know? You know? I'll, I'll say, like, well, I'll tell you. I'll say some shit like that. Some fucking why. Where does that come from? I don't think even Mr. Rogers said that shit. But so I was talking to my friend today, and we were talking about like past like love things, of like well, he was talking about his ex, and he was thinking about. I believe he's. Well, I'm not gonna speak for him. I don't know what he's thinking, but it's like, yeah, he still has like a lot of love for her. Likely wishes he was still with her. But he's talking about like, oh, she's with another guy, and I still hope that she's really happy. You know, I really want her to be happy. That's what I want. Even if it's with that other guy. And so I told him, well, well, no, no, no. All right, that's if that were me, no, I wouldn't want that. That's a great sentiment to have. And I told him that if you have that sentiment genuinely, that's great, and you should hold on to that because you're a good person. But me, as a bad person, I'm like, no, fuck that guy. I want to be that guy. I want to be with her. Well, not her because not specifically his ex, but in my own life, her in my own life. If she's with a guy, fuck that guy. That's how I feel. And I'm not going to go the other way about it. And I'm not going to pretend like that's not how I feel. That's how I feel. You know? I I refuse to try to play like the socially expected game of you should be this because that's polite or something. I will be polite. No, don't get me wrong. I'll be polite. I'll be cordial. I'm generally a nice guy, but I'm honest about my feelings. And if that were me, no, I would not feel that way. I'm fidgeting with this thing right now. If you hear noises in the background, they're these command hooks that my brother and I tried to put up on the wall to hang up these blankets, these faux fur blankets I used to have. Well, I had not used to have. I have them, and they're hanging on the wall now because I put them up with nails because these command hooks they fell off probably because I don't know why. Maybe the wall wasn't a great surface for it to stick on, or maybe like the sun because there's like a window in the room right now, and it's a pretty big window. A lot of sun can come through and make it hot. This is like a hot room, like a fairly warm room usually, and well, we got to put up another curtain too because that's also like a sound dampening curtain, which would make the sound more kind of cool. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but in my own way of telling it like it is, I'm telling it like it is about the things that I know that make me ugly, that I feel that make me ugly, or would make somebody ugly. I'll tell the truth about how I feel about that. You know, I'm not gonna say like, well, this is that, and that is this, and this is whatever. I'm not gonna point to other things and say I know the truth about that. I know the truth about who I am and how I feel and how petty I am, how small I am, how ugly I am, how how jealous, how envious I am of people and things, you know? People and things. I was just trying to come up with another word. I couldn't though. You know? Um, yeah, that's that conversation I had with my friend. He's a good person. He really tries to be. I think that's a quality of a good person. When you try to be a good person, when you think about is this what a good person would do? You know, what would Jesus do? um, I don't know. Is that enough self introduction? Uh, Maybe I could get into some thoughts on this one thought that I have. This theory. It's also I also can tie it into like what I've been talking about, but I've had this thought, and this is gonna get weird. We're gonna get weird, all right. But I had this thought, this idea that it's just an idea, all right. But what if like all of reality becomes like like your consciousness, you know? Everything that has been, and I'm speaking from like probably like a all right, I haven't explored this idea much, so I'm going to use this word, but I'm talking about it out of my ass for sure. But like solipsism or something, I'm talking from a perspective of that. But like, what if everything that has occurred in my life, like the whole universe that occurred in, like, all right, for example, like, let's say I go to the store, I buy, let's say I buy Takis and like a Arizona iced tea or something, you know, and I go back into the car because I drive over to the 7-Eleven. I drive over to the 7-Eleven. I walk inside, open the door, look to the cashier, see if he's looking back. If he's acknowledging me, I'll give a nod, and you know, like I won't say anything. It'll be like an unspoken "How are you doing?" Um, Greet each other if we do. If not, I'm cool with that. I'm even more cool with that since I'm more of an antisocial kind of guy. I don't need to waste time with any small talk. I prefer not to. But I'll go for the chips. I'll go to Takis, pick up some Takis, and then go to the what are those fridges? I'll say the fridges, and I'll find the maybe like a sweet tea or like the watermelon tea. What else they got there? Like the fruit punch. That's probably pretty good. This is probably like sugary, and the Takis are probably bad for me too. I shouldn't even be thinking like this. I'm thinking like the fat boy that I am. So I'll pick up the Takis, pick up the Arizona iced tea, and I'll get in line behind like maybe 3 people, 2 people in line behind the person who's checking out. And it'll come to me. Well, put down the stuff on the counter, pull out my wallet. You know, as in pulling out my card, he'll tell me how much it is, and I'll disregard it because I'm not even like whatever. I brought it here. Doesn't make a huge difference about how much it is. I have an idea of how it is. I will have another look when I see the card reader, right? It'll say like how much it is, so it doesn't really matter. Everything's meaningless. Nothing matters at all. So I'll put my card, the chip. I'll insert the chip. You know, if it needs me to put my pin, I'll put the pin in. 6969, and then yeah, check out, get the receipt. I'll go back into the car. Now imagine that whole experience that occurred within the bounds of that 7-Eleven, and outside of it, all the cars passing by on Monterey. Maybe, I don't know, someone buying a guitar at Guitar Center, like a couple miles away. And even further than that, you know, the receptionist at like the LinkedIn building in San Francisco, them coughing. A professor at let's say De Anza College, maybe they go to the bathroom and they're washing their hands. All of that has occurred within the time that I've done that. All of that like becomes a part of my consciousness. Like it goes inside of my consciousness. It goes inside of my brain. That whole universe is not, it's like not collapse, but it implodes into itself to become a part of my mind, and it lives there. You know, it lives there. So it's not like but I've only experienced that whole universe through my own perception, through going through the 7-Eleven and buying the Takis and the tea. So that's the only one. Those are the only memories that I can experience in that universe, and maybe those are the only memories that will stick. You know, well, no, not exactly. I wouldn't say exactly, because okay, let's say that's the thing. You know, that is a thing. The universe implodes into itself and then becomes a part of my mind, and that's where it exists. So that universe of the past, like that window of 15 minutes, for example, the example of that 15, 20, 30-minute window that exists in my mind now. If someone comes to me and tells me that, let's say that took place between, like, let's say I entered at like 2:10 in the afternoon, and I came out maybe like 2:25, 2:27, something like that, 2:27. So let's say someone came to me and told me like, "Hey, I was just uh, I was just at the movies, and I watched, or no, I was watching this trailer at the movies at like 2:15." So within that window, then my universe becomes bigger by that much. Like the universe that exists inside my mind of that window expands by that much. Like I have an idea of his experience, and then the universe is more there. I have more complete picture of that universe. But that's not even the point. The point is it exists in my mind, right? The universe exists in my mind. And the reason why I have this idea is because it exists there. And somehow, maybe in a way, it constantly does. Like maybe it's there, it's like a snapshot of life within that moment, that 17 minutes of life, of reality that exists constantly there. And the reason I say that, and that said, this is like a 17 minute period of that, right? So this would be endless, really. This would be endless universes existing in my mind right now, because life continues to go on. I'm still breathing. I'm still moving. You know, I'm still experiencing things. So the universe is growing. It's growing. So ever since I was born, maybe this started to happen, right? Or maybe at some point of like consciousness, this is when it started to happen. But that's sorry, I'm burping because I'm out of breath from talking from this shit. Also, I have my fat boy lungs on me right now, and I just finished like that drink there. But anyway, the reason why I thought of this idea is because of these thoughts that I have, these depressive thoughts, these thoughts that induce depression in me, right? Because I am constantly living that in my mind, like always, you know? And it's always there, and it will never not be there. Like that, it exists there. It exists in my mind. You know, that exists in at the universe at that time. Last May, last June, you know, last year, last year, early last year to mid last year. Not last year. Yeah. What was it? 2020. I'm losing track of my time. Last year, that happened, and that exists in my mind, and that the whole universe of that, as I experienced it, I can remember like everything, everything. Because, and I feel like, maybe not. I feel it. Maybe I don't know, but maybe the theory is that it's just constantly there. It's constantly, almost in a way, being replayed because it exists there. That time exists there. that stretch of time and stretch of all time that I have experienced in my life, it is there, you know? And so I can't let go of it because it's there. I can't get it out of there because maybe that's the way it is. The universe, the whole, all of reality that I have experienced, at least that, and maybe more, exists in my mind. And so the thoughts will come back. They'll be recurring for the rest of my life. For the rest of my life, they'll be there. And my friend tells me about he has his own like sad, depressing experiences last year as well, but later in last year. Also a time when I wasn't hanging out with him. And he describes this to me, and I know some of the people that were a part of his situation. And so and he describes everything as well because maybe this universe exists in his mind, his own universe, right? His own memories, his own perception within that time of reality, within that time as a measurement of like point A to point B, like that stretch, that segment in like exists in his mind. And so he tells me this, and I know some of the people he's interacted with, and I can imagine almost vividly his own experience. And so then my universe expands by that much. So while I was doing this, you were doing that. And so there's the universe, and now we have like a shared thing of like, oh, okay, in your own thing and now in my own thing, and back and forth, you know and the times that we have been in each other's lives is also registered and documented in this universe journal. I don't know. I'm talking out of my ass. Let's take a look at the time again. 32:12. Not bad. Let's go for another 15. I don't know why I brought that up. That was just something interesting that I was thinking of. I think that it was interesting. And when I think something's interesting, I think it's really, really interesting. I'll tell something else. Another fact of life is that I'm obsessed with myself, honestly. I do things. I make some music. I produce some music. Small little MPC live there. I put some tracks together, and I listen to those like constantly, either to like see what I have to improve about them or just to enjoy them because I'm like, dude, this is really good. I love it. I made this, my ego. And I write too. I write some things, and sometimes maybe I'll go back and look at what I wrote. I'm like, oh yeah, that was a pretty cool line I wrote there. Oh, I like this whole idea of what's going on here. I like that. That's who I am. That's who I am. I'm gonna look up this lyric right now because I had this other idea today of like, um, I do things like that. I create. I'm like one of those insufferable creative types. And sorry for some dead air right now. I'm looking something up. I do things like that because I need that. I need that. That's like the way that I can approve of myself. That I have the most fulfilling approval is approval of myself and what I do. I was just telling my friend today, like, he wants to become a doctor, and I was like, dude, I couldn't do that. I don't have faith in myself when it comes to things that like I've been instructed to do. Like if there's like a if I'm if I'm building like Legos or something, I have to look back and forth to the manual and the thing. I don't do it on the first try. I have to like make sure it's exactly right. And if I don't know, not to say I would have to become a surgeon if I was a doctor. I wouldn't have to, but if I was like a surgeon, maybe even a doctor, like just a regular care physician, right? But if I was a surgeon, and like you're supposed to do this suturing this way, right? This certain way. I would have the shakiest hand, and I would check with someone who I would hope knows more than me that, am I doing this right? Always. I would be looking back to them like, is this good right here? Is this good? I don't know. Because that's who I am. When it comes to things, though, keep in mind, when it comes to things that are taught that aren't my own skills for my own, like, that I learned myself, these are skills that are taught by other people. I don't have faith in my hand to recreate like a good surgery. I don't think I would. Or in like a court of law, I was telling my friend, like, I was considering maybe becoming or going into law school or some shit, right? Some fucking bullshit. But if I was like, if I felt like I was on a roll, if I was like cross examining someone, and I was like on a roll with like all the punches and they were all landing, but they come with like a really good point. It just like a small but really good point that might ruin my whole momentum. That might trip me up, and I might shit my pants in the courtroom if I'm like cross examining someone. They bring up a good point, they might ruin my whole energy, my whole case. You know, my whole defense or prosecution or whatever. They would ruin it just because I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. I'd be like, was that a thing? I overlooked that. Holy shit, I'm a bad lawyer. I can't do this. I can't do this anymore or something, right? Not like I I I I I'm feeling it like right now. I'm imagining myself in that situation right now, and I'm like shocked. I'm in shock. I'm like, what would I do? What do I do? I'm a deer in the headlights, you know. you know. So I'm gonna say a lot. By the way, that's just how I speak. Here we go. But I do this because I'll tell you what, that I am I am suicidal. I am suicidal. That's another fact that I'll just be plain and real about and honest. I have that in me. This I I a lot of the times I want to die, you know? So, and most of the times it's not exactly that I want to kill myself, but a lot of the times it's like I wish I wasn't here anymore. I wish I would just be done, you know? Because of like how much of the strain that those memories put on me, and how much of a strain they put on my life, you know, on my life activities now, how much they stop me up if I'm taking a quiz and I tense up, or if I'm writing notes and I break the pencil or the pencil lead on the paper because I just have like a thought that makes me, tense and cringe for a moment. I don't want that for the rest of my life. I don't want that at all. And I don't know, but that universe is in my head, right? That universe is in my head, and it's there, and it's true. You know, I can't change that. I know that there's some delusional people who do. They rewrite the narrative in their own head so that they make themselves feel better. But I can't change that. I won't, because I know what happened, and I know where I failed and how badly I failed. And that always haunts me. And I don't know. Maybe it's because I think it's tied to this life that I want it to end, you know? But that said, I have to do, I think that I have to make these creative things, these creative projects. Otherwise, I don't know. Those are the only things that might just keep me going. I found the lyric. It's from Common, from They Say, writing from my life because I'm scared of a day job, you know? I'm writing for my life because what else can I look on, and consider my own? What else can I look on and consider my baby, my child, something that I love? What do I love so much in this world that is completely my own, you know? And I know that's selfish. I know that sounds so selfish and self-centered that I need to be self-fulfilled, but I need that, you know? I need that. I know that if I weren't doing something with my life that I wanted to be doing, that I was that if I wasn't creating something, I would more want to die than ever. This it wouldn't be mine. It wouldn't be mine. You know, scared of a day job. That's like, I think when I think of day jobs, or salary jobs where you're working for somebody, and no disrespect to people who do those things, but it's like you're working on somebody else's dream. And I don't know. I don't think I could do that for the rest of my life. I'm doing that now. I'm a security guard right now, and I'm doing something for somebody else, and it's not mine. And it's fine for now. I'm in college. I'm just, I have a job while I'm doing school, and there's those things there. And a lot of it doesn't conflict a lot. It does conflict sometimes, like sleep schedule stuff, but you know, it's pretty conducive to each other. Mostly to school. I think that's the main focus, right? So, but out of that, when people graduate, when people get out, how many of them are actually doing something for themselves as opposed to, I know, well, like doing something of their own creation that is their baby, their child, you know? The turnover rate, right? I think I've heard it's gone up because this generation is just, we've lost focus on a lot of things. And I have an idea that it's just been this thing that's been inherent in us and maybe more apparent in these younger generations of like self-interest, you know? It is self-interest. I'm bored of this, so I want to do something else. But for me, how I need to do it is that I am self-interested, so I need to do something for myself, not something else, but I need to do something for myself that I make my own baby. And if not, I die. And even while I am doing that, you know, not so much right now. It's not 100%, you know. I'd say 90% of my life right now is trying to pass these fucking classes, but I I do want to die now, you know? I would like to be off of this earth, but in the moments when I'm making something, when I'm taking care of or developing my child, I I have a responsibility to it, because I love it, because I love it. I love art. I love the art of doing these things. I have the responsibility, I have the obligation to see it through, you know? So I need to do this. I need to write. I need to make these tracks, as mediocre as they might sound by everybody else's standards, as mediocre as it might read to other people's eyes. I need to make this because I do take pride in it. And I do I do love it. And I've gotten better about it. I've gotten better with some of those things. If I might toot my own horn. A lot of the times when I used to write, I just write to fill space, but now I'm like, no, I can't do that because it turns out to be shit. I need something that means something always. Always, you know? Anyway, let's take a look at the time again. Nice. I'm going to pick this up. I think we're going to close out at around 45. So we got like a couple minutes left. 2 minutes, just about. And with those 2 minutes, I would like to say Assalamu alaikum. Peace and love. As of right now, I don't know how long these will survive, but it's July 2nd, right? Where I am, we're still largely in lockdown because of the COVID-19 strain of the coronavirus or something. And we're quarantining, isolating. So I'd like to tell the folks listening to this to, love your neighbor from 6 feet away right now, especially during these times. We're missing like a lot of that love. So when this is over, I think it'd be a great idea to give someone just a big fat hug and go find someone that you love and give them just a big wet smooch like right between their eyes and tell them you love them. All right, we're at like 4:50 right now. We're gonna cut it there, But thanks for listening. Love you. Bye. Love you. Bye. That was like a someone I used to know. They used to say that. Love you. Bye. So love you. Bye. See you guys.